yourselves, because we really can't wait to hear your pitches. And as Liz said, pitching is one of the most important skills in filmmaking. Whether you're a writer, director, producer, you're always pitching. And what that really means is you're telling us the story. So I want those who are pitching, who are the pitchers, our 5 amazing, brilliant. You're probably feeling nervous.
Yes.
Don't. Just think that you're telling your story to some friend who's going, so what's your film about? And just tell us about it. You're going to pitch for 5 minutes, and then we're going to give our feedback for 5 minutes, and then we're going to move to the next one. And at the end, we're going to have some time for some questions from everyone sitting in the room. The one thing I say is, although you are pitching to us, be aware that you don't know who's in the audience. So someone might hear that story and go, oh my God, I really need to be part of that project. So it's never always the people you are pitching to. So this is a great opportunity. I want to congratulate you for taking the courage to go forward with this. And yeah, so my name is Athena Mandis. I'm a filmmaker and a lecturer in film practice. So I teach a lot of students trying to get them to pitch their stories. And I'm just going to pass around, and this is Michael Ryan. And Michael, do you want to talk a little bit about who you are?
Talk about myself, you mean, my favourite subject. I've been doing this for a long time. My name's Michael Ryan. I'm a producer, sales agent, financier, dog's body, basically. So I've been doing this for longer than I care to remember. So I've made all of the mistakes, so don't worry, I've done them too. Pitching is, as you've said, the most important part of what we do. Everybody pitches in life, whatever you do. If you're a refuse collector, you're pitching your service. It's all about pitching. You have to sell everything, all day, every day. So don't be nervous. It's part of life. It's easy. I finance films, I sell films, I distribute films. I've made over 180 something films in my career, so it's kind of second nature, and it's not brain surgery. It's part of life. It's only a film, as we always say. So,
I have my own.
you got your own.
Hi, I'm Helena Mackenzie from Film London. I too have been in the industry for a long, long time, but not quite as long as him. And the work that I do at Film London, I mean, I produced and I was a sales agent for many years too. So I have that background, but I've been at Film London for 20 years. I'm a lifer, no parole for me. And but my job at Film London is inward investment, which is basically production attraction. So whatever you're making, I want you to make it in London. Whether it's film, television, animation, games, whatever, I want you to do it in London. And have a whole team of people that once we land you, we can help you. And the other part of my job is business development. So it's working with London producers to help them move things along within their production career. So I do things, I run the production finance market, which is an annual event every year in October. I run the London Screenings, which is a British film, independent film, export event to get British films seen and bought and acquired and distributed outside of the UK. And Upstream, which is our fairly new baby, which is an IP event, which is actually coming up in March, which is for really, really, really early stage IP that could be developed into film and television. We start at very early stages there and move right the way through to distribution. We have film labs, we do lots of things within Film London. Go on the website, look us up, sign up to everything. A lot of the stuff that we do is free or at minimal cost. So we have a lot of work that we do with entry-level filmmakers, so please do check us out.
Hello, it's me again. I've kind of got a different hat on now, because even though I am an actress and have been in the industry for a very, very, very long time, I decided, like a lot of actors, I think, of a certain age, that I wanted to take control of my career at some point, particularly women who we know are underrepresented in the industry. And so I decided that I wanted to put a play on, and I met the right people. I commissioned a script, and I put a producer play at the Park Theatre which was a success. And then I produced a 20-minute film. I co-produced it with a company called Genesius Pictures, and I wrote, created it, co-produced it, did that. And then I started my own production company called It Works. I was recently on a panel with Lenny Henry at C21, which was called Actors Taking Control. And Lenny's at a very different level from where I am, but I have a slate of about 11, 12 projects, and I'm just about to get some investment from private equity, which is what I think you will talk about. So I am constantly pitching. I've pitched to Netflix, I've pitched to ITV. I've got a couple of, I've got something on the go with a company called Chalkboard, which I pitched in lockdown online. That was a hard one, on Zoom. I've got something which BBC Studios are really, really keen to commission. So yes, I kind of think I know what it's like to pitch, and it can be very terrifying. But it's not just about going into it, it's about networking, it's about here. In fact, I pitched something to Michael and Michael earlier. We're upstairs in the bar, and yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of getting out there and being very specific and concise about what you want, and just always think, this is probably going to be the first and the last time that I ever see this person that I am pitching to, so I've got to make my mark with these people. Anyway, I won't ramble on.
Hi, I'm Daria Polanina. My background is very different from these people. I'm actually in finance and private equity, and we invest in small companies. But my relation to the film world is was an executive producer on one of the films, and kind of sat in your shoes, where I also had to pitch to the sales agents and go into film festivals and present the film, which is now on Amazon Prime. I also was on the board of post-production company called Molyneux, which is in Soho, competed with this place when they were still here, for about 7 years. So yeah, kind of saw the very end of the production process and what it takes to really like finish the movie or TV, whatever it was. But yeah, in terms of pitching, as everybody said, I think already, you pitch every day, and I think all of us in different capacities. So as an investor, the companies that come to us, they have to, in a very short time, convince us that we need to give them the money, and this applies to films too. But then I then go and I have to pitch the same story that I liked to somebody else to convince them that this is a good idea. So I would say, as Athena mentioned, like, don't think of it as something terrifying, or this is like your one chance. Just I think if you really love your story and you really know it kind of inside out and what you want to deliver, just I think present it as passionately as you can, but also think about who you're pitching to, because I think you do have to change somewhat the story depending on whether you're trying to convince an actor to play in your film versus you want to convince an investor to invest in your film, and there will be like slightly different details. But yeah, I think
I say watch Dragon's Den.
yeah,
That's a
that's
really good thing to watch. Great. So, without much, I've got one
Here, without much ado, let's kick off with the first pitch. Now, do you know your running order, or is it? I'm going to go for you, Rachel, because I know your name, and then you can call the next person. You'll be responsible for who goes after you.
Okay.
So,
cool.
and that's how it will work. Yeah. Right. So I'm going to start the clock, and I will say go. And when you've got 1 minute left, I will give you the mic now. I will, you've got 1 minute left, I'll give you a 1 minute call, and then at 5 minutes, cut, even if you're
Even
mid-sentence.
I'm mid-sentence.
Right, okay.
Is it cool for me to also address the audience, or would you rather that I only pitch to?
I think
for
pitch to
us?
us, that'd be good practice, they're here to watch you.
I would actually really like to do it without a mic, if I may.
Producers.
They're recording, you need
Uh,
one.
So I need to go with a mic. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wait 2 seconds.
Hello.
And your time starts now.
Hello, I'm so thrilled to meet you. My name is Rachel Fowler. I am an award-winning writer, director. My debut film Stillness, which is a short film, has screened here at Soho and in about 22 other festivals in Europe and in the US, and I have won 11 awards, which has been really, really awesome. In addition to being a creative, I'm a grief and loss coach. And one of the things that I'm really interested in doing is getting people to have more conversations about grief, about suffering, and make grief less isolating. A recurring thing that comes up with my clients is, how do you create enduring connections with your dead loved ones when their physical being is gone, but your relationship continues? How do you keep that alive and vibrant? And I'd like to read a quote for you from Henry Scott Holland for you. What is death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you at an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well, nothing is hurt, nothing is lost. One brief moment and all will be as it was before. And how we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. This quote is where I got my title for my short, Somewhere Very Near. Short film full of magical realism. It's a tender story about that enduring connection between the dead and their loved ones. We follow Jason Bryan, who have greeted newly dead Lena to a cemetery, and they try to help her connect with her sister. So we're in a beautiful cemetery. There's an old part of it where it looks like a Neil Gaiman story with vines growing out of old Victorian graves, but there's also a newer part to it. And there's this unlikely trio. We have a middle-aged woman, Jace, who's dressed from the 1970s. We've got Brian, who's a 12-year-old boy who's bebopping and doing cartwheels and other inappropriate things in a cemetery, like a 12-year-old boy might do. And we've got Lena, a sullen teenager who is unhappy and does not want to be here. Jace and Brian are making jokes. Jace is talking about how beautiful the cemetery is and how comfortable she'll find it here. And then all of a sudden, Brian's energy completely changes. And in the distance, we see an older woman approach a grave. He looks at the older woman, he looks back at Lena, he winks, and he goes to join the older woman. And he blows in her hair, and she goes, "Oh, Brian, I still miss you so much." And Lena's like, "Wait a minute, we can communicate with them?" And Jason's like, "Well, yes, but you have to be able to give them a sign that they'll recognize, that they'll see as it being you. When my sons used to come visit me, I always sent a starling because it was my favorite bird, so they always knew that I was near." Just then, Sarah, Lena's sister, arrives. And Lena's like, "Okay, what do I do? What do I do?" And Jason's like, "Well, what would she recognize?" So Lena grabs a couple of sticks and tries to make a heart on her grave. Sarah is just standing there, not quite knowing what to do. She doesn't see the sticks. Jason's like, "Try something else." Lena finds a rose and takes 2 petals from the rose and makes it into a heart on her grave. And Sarah goes, "Oh, you're here! Oh my God, let me tell you what's going on. Everything has been so hard since you left." And she just starts pouring her heart out to Lena. Lena smiles and sort of cracks open, and Jay says, "Take it all in. It's all love and it's all for you." And the last shot is a drone shot where we sort of pan back, ascending into heaven as the audience, and we see the pairs finding meaning together. So for me, this is a Heart and Souls meets A Monster Calls. And it's really a gentle, tender story about looking for signs and finding meaning and connection in your grief. Thank you very much. Who wants to kick off?
Well done. Very passionate. You've got all the information in there, even the comps as well. Well done.
You should be careful. A lot of people won't give you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or they may say you've got 5 minutes, but they'll probably pay attention to 90 seconds. So be careful of that and find a way to encapsulate
quicker?
well, just encapsulate it shorter.
Okay.
But I think it's a beautiful idea, and you did it really well. So well done.
Yes, well done. I love your voice, by the way. You have a very lovely voice, which works and it helps, especially when you're talking about what you're talking about. And the quote that the quote that you read out was the way that you read it was very beautiful, so very, very moving. So I think you did that very well. The only thing that I was confused about was I thought you said Jason Bryan, and then I realised it was Jace and Brian.
Oh.
I was
Jason,
thinking,
Brian.
you were talking about her, and I'm thinking I thought it was Jason Bryan. And it's a stupid thing, but that all the way through, I'm thinking Jason Bryan, and then I realised the comp was brilliant. That was a really brilliant comp about Monster Calls. That got it. That just then it clinched it for me. So and it is something grief everyone has to deal with at some point. So I think you're onto a winner with that subject if it's done correctly. So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, are you an actress as well? Yeah, I thought so. Takes one to know one. That's great. Yeah. The only thing, I was a little bit confused kind of what genre it was going to be at one point. Was it supernatural? Was
Magical
it
realism.
horror, magical? Right, yeah. And a little bit confused about the story, but it was compelling. It was really compelling, and I wanted to listen to you, and I kind of wanted to know more at the end, and that's really good. I didn't kind of go, oh gosh, she's rambling on and all this, but this is really exciting, and I kind of wanted to know more. I'm not sure how original it is, I don't know, but if it's done very well, then it doesn't. And yeah, so no, it was really, really good. Well done.
I agree, and also great delivery. So you're so passionate about it, and you can see that the story really means something to you. And I also liked how you introduced yourself, you introduced what you've done before. So I think it also clicks where you're a filmmaker, you're in the film world, you know what you're doing. I think it depends on who you're pitching to, and as I mentioned, probably you won't have always those 5 minutes. I would actually cut you don't always have to actually tell what you're going to be, go through the whole short film, sort of in that level of detail, but summarize it well enough. And again, for somebody who is, again, from the finance side, you actually need to be much more precise with the details and specify, again, the genre, what lengths you're thinking of, who you're trying to get, and what you would want as a cost, what do you think you would need for it. That would be my only comment, but otherwise,
And references are always good, aren't they? References are always good.
otherwise, very great delivery.
It also depends who you're pitching to. Know who you're pitching to. Know what you want from them. And if you're talking to somebody like me, you might tell me how much it's going to cost, whether you have anybody that's interested in playing the roles, those sort of financial things for me, technical stuff maybe, and to others who are more concerned with story. I'm also concerned with story, but there are certain details for certain folk, so know who you're talking to.
Yeah. I did prep my creative team, and I forgot.
You ran out of time, didn't you? Really great pitch. I mean, it was compelling, and you have got a lovely voice. And I think it is that thing about being careful with so much detail when people are really just listening, because if they want to find out more, they can ask you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just really keep that quite contained. Getting a story, yeah, exactly. And I'm just going to give you the opportunity really to tell the room and us, what is it you are looking for?
I'm looking for £20,000.
I'm looking for £20,000 as well as some, I'd like to get a very diverse crew. So I'm looking for neurodiversity and others. So, yeah.
Thank you. And you get to nominate the next person.
Mark, baby, you're up.
That'll be me.
That'll be you, Mark. Come on down.
Want me to record you?
You can call me off a phone.
When you're ready, I'll start the timer. Ready? And breathe. Important to breathe, really. Wow.
The name is Mark. I'm usually responsible for my YouTube channel, Skinny E Media, where I do film and music reviews, podcasts about censorship and documentaries about elections. But I write screenplays under my pen name Raymond M. And I am submitting my interest for Lovely by Design, which I think is one of the most interesting concepts that you can imagine. It's essentially a modern day Pygmalion, if you think about it, of the story of a broken, sort of sex-obsessed, weird, hates his father, fat mid to late 20s loner who ultimately finds some sort of purpose in his life by seeing an advertisement on television for a Japanese anime woman that comes to life. Ultimately, he does become interested, but after having a nasty scuffle with his father that leaves him dead, he ultimately does get the box, which ultimately leads the anime character to come to life. And for her, who's also known as Lucy, but also called the Animatrix, he finds some sort of purpose in her. They're talking about his problems, how his mother died, how his student loan debt, and how he can't really get a job. Sort of a reflection of the modern realities that a lot of millennials and Gen Z, like ourselves, often deal with. And it's more or less a dark comedy focusing on these types of issues. And as the story goes on, it does focus on issues related to him trying to support her, so eventually he has to do sort of black economy sort of stuff by becoming some sort of suicide doctor, by financing people to kill themselves, which ultimately leads him to be hunted by the police, and his boss, accompanied with his girlfriend, the Animatrix, flee during a storm and sort of a police watch into the boondocks. This is set in North America, by the way, and everything goes haywire as the boss is also trying to lure on the Animatrix because he wants some of that for himself. And essentially the film focuses on a sort of satire on sexual commodification, incel culture, and the paranoias and issues that young people are dealing with within sort of sex and relationships. So it's a broken relationship in dating, so he has to objectify someone, just like Pygmalion did to Galatea. And it ends with him having some sort of existential crisis, realizing, is this it? Is this my life? After the Animatrix malfunctions and becomes a demon and essentially kills him and the boss and herself. And it's a really sort of dark and nasty sort of story that takes a lot of elements from David Cronenberg and maybe Robert Zemeckis, because Who Framed Roger Rabbit was one of my key influences because of the live action and animation thing. The anime character is not live action, it's animated, so there might be a bit of a budget issue. But I was also influenced to some extent by Ex Machina and Her, and sort of Japanese type of works like Ghost in the Shell, Air Doll, Perfect Blue, that sort of thing. And it's certainly not for children, so think in more along the lines of like Fritz the Cat or Sausage Party, more sort of like SpongeBob or Rugrats in that field. And I've worked on this project for roughly about 4 years now, and I believe it's one of my most marketable screenplays. I've got attention from it from other festivals, particularly Asia Pitch Festival in Los Angeles, who took to the idea of it, and there was another one that was interested in it, but they had to drop it because at the time they were interested, there's a controversy about Asian hate crime, and it was the guy who killed someone in Atlanta in a massage parlor. So it's quite controversial. It deals quite openly with sex and suicide and depression. So take it as you will. Well, if I've got one more minute, I'll just leave everyone to openly interpret it as itself. I think it's a very interesting screenplay. I know.
Have to use all five.
But you know what? I'm just happy to be here.
Anyone itching to go first? I have literally no idea what you just said to me. I literally have no idea what you just said to me. I'm really sorry. I don't know. I did write down animation, question mark. I did think that this sounds like an animation project.
Partially.
And which you then did say later on in the picture, something about animation. And I thought, oh, I think I've got something right there.
anime. I think that's what got me. But I mean, in terms of the animation, then other things. It kept coming back to me that this is some kind of animation thing. But I'm utterly confused about the story, and I'm lost. And there were so many comps in terms of the comps that you used in terms of the titles of films or the filmmakers. It's a noodle soup, I'm afraid, for me.
Sorry.
Well done. I think this is a really great example where you have got so many great ideas. They came whoosh. I mean, I've written anime and then I've written Lost. And I think that's not a bad thing. It means really that sometimes we have to go back and go, right, what is that elevator pitch of this story? And I think you were doing something which is really common, which is to mix the themes with the story. And that just kept going backwards and forwards, and then you added the layer of all these different comps, and that's what made us lost. So really, I think just break it down, know what your story is, and then you can talk about the themes, and then you talk about how it's going to look. And I think it's all there as a noodle soup, but just sort of break it up now. But great. I think there's something wonderful there. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, sorry, can I just step in? I thought that you actually had all the information in there, but you probably need to rearrange it. And I think actually at the end where you started, mentioning what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, because sometimes people do react better to, oh, this is like this, but mixed with, like when you mentioned Ex Machina with that movie, you might start the pitch with like, well, I've got this story that is something in between, this is the genre, etc., and then go into more what it's about and what kind of societal issues it will bring out, and kind of it's all there, just kind of play around with the order of it. That would be my comment.
Is it a short or a feature or a YouTube thing?
It was originally for a short film script that was called But Wait, There's More, but this is the feature-length version.
Yeah,
Lovely by
I
design.
thought it was a feature, actually. I don't think you could put all that into one box, a very small box. I agree, I was lost too. I was fascinated by the original idea. I think it's a great idea, but you confused the hell out of me and you used too many references. It's always good to have a reference, but not 15 of them at once. And so I think if you refine it, it's a great idea. The combination of anime and live action is a great idea. You've got to be careful where your audience is, because anime is a difficult genre to do internationally. I've done it myself many times. If you're appealing, people think animation is all kids. It isn't. And it doesn't always appeal in the major English-speaking markets when you cross over genres and you go into anime or animation and then back to live action. People are confused as to what the audience is. You should probably pitch as to what the audience is you think you're aiming towards.
It's not for children. That's why I said Fritz the cat.
Exactly.
You did say think SpongeBob, didn't you?
Yeah, but there were too many references. So you're confused with it. And it's a really good idea. Don't give up on the idea. I think because you've been working on it for 4 years, that shows. So you're imagining that everybody knows what the hell you're talking about. We don't.
I think sometimes the simplest things are the best. And I was intrigued at the beginning, and then again you kind of lost me a little bit. And you were also a bit negative about it. You were saying, well, that might be a problem, and never do that when you're pitching something. And then you said, oh, it's about sex, suicide, depression, Pygmalion, and I was like, what? Okay. I mean,
Mine works like that.
well, your mind works like that, but ours kind of doesn't. So you're obviously way ahead. So you kind of need to just kind of simplify it a bit more. And I get that you're excited about it and everything. But yeah, there is a lot to get in there. But maybe just simplify it a little bit more. I don't know.
We certainly do that.
But yeah, it's way out there. It really is. I mean, I'm intrigued. If you make this, it'll be amazing. But yeah, we kind of all feel the same, I think, really, don't we?
I think there is one other thing. Don't tell the person you're pitching to how wonderful it is, because that's your view. You're pitching it to us. So don't say, it's a fantastic idea, it's a brilliant project. We'll decide. Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. That's the other thing about pictures is really to listen and to hear what is said, because it helps you prepare it the next time you pitch it, and you get to try those ideas out. So there's never a bad pitch, it's always good because you're learning. So we all do that. We all kind of fall into that thing where we presented a project and it hasn't quite landed, so we go back to the drawing board. So thank you, Mark. Right, Mark, you get to tell us who's next.
I will go with this nice coiffed haired man
This nice
right there.
boy. Okay.
Alex, when you're ready.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Alex Barrow. I'm a writer, director that likes to blend genres, so horror, sci-fi, a lot of comedy. My latest short film, Milk and Cookies, was shown in Sitges Festival last October. And I am the loser of the London Sci-Fi Festival for 3 years in a row because I've been always ending second. What I bring you guys is comedy. You could argue it's a bit of a horror comedy that's called Falling Out. It's a 20-minute episode, so like 6-part 20-minute episode. British comedy. You might be wondering, this guy in British. I'm actually Spanish, but I've been here for 10 years, so I really understand UK comedy, British comedy. This thing is very similar to Staff South Flats, very similar to People Just Do Nothing, or This Country. And here's another mockumentary, yay, lots of mockumentaries out there. But this one comes with a twist, because this one is set during the zombie apocalypse. So in the near future, there's been a zombie apocalypse, and the last camera crew who's alive has been granted access to a North London flat with a bunch of people live together, and they're very unlikely survivors. I don't know how they want to find out how these people have been surviving for so long. There's mainly three main characters in there. There's Fatima, who is a proper London girl. She runs a pirate radio station on her rooftop, and she's very happy with the zombie apocalypse because the government is not there anymore, so she can do whatever she wants. There's also Mal, who is a European immigrant. This character is based on me. He dresses very nice. He's very skeptic. He's a skeptical guy. He's like the realist of the group, and he credits his neuroticism to the fact that he survived for so long. And there's finally Zero. He's the hothead. He's the guy who's been wishing for the apocalypse. You know, that type of guy that is preparing for it. He knows that everything is conspiracy, but he's actually a liability. Now, there's like 6 episodes. All of them explore different topics, different like ideas, like having to break up with your girlfriend who just turned into a zombie, or having to answer your landlord who just wants his rent for the last 2 years. But the overall story is about them being so bad at surviving, but one day they'll get a radio transmission from South London. I must say, these guys are in North London, so they get a transmission from South London where they say, we got a place where we are surviving, it's lots of us, we have food, we have medicine, you should join us. They're in a dire situation, so they decide they're going to go down to South London and join them. They face a bunch of challenges, and once they get to South London, lo and behold, it's actually paradise. There's like food, there's no zombies, it's amazing. This is the best place ever. So they decide to move to South London. And these strange things start to happen. So firstly, they get given a national insurance number. Then they ask them for tax money. Then they ask them for a TV license. And they very quickly realize that what South London is doing is making society exactly how we know it. So they're bringing back gentrification. They have racism, sexism, discrimination. They have to take a choice. It's either we go back to North London or we stay in the society that as we know it. They take a third choice, which is we're going to actually stop South London from expanding. We are going to destroy the cure for the zombie virus that they have, and we're going to go back to North London. That's maybe the overall story. As you can see, there's a lot of satire, a lot of social commentary. It's about grabbing a mirror and putting it in front of society as we know it and having a good look at it. So because an image is worth 1,000 words, as the quote, we actually have a pilot that's going to be shown today at 7 p.m. And we also have 3 episodes that we've shot. If anyone wants to watch that, please come talk to me and I can give them a nice private link. Each episode is 10 minutes, and we're currently looking for commissioners or production companies to get attached to and start like having these conversations to actually make it a thing.
Thank you. North London or South
What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, no. of thing.
I'm from North London too, and I think, you know,
South London.
and if you are from North London, you never go to South London. Okay, so who wants to kick off?
Okay, I'm from South London. All right. I was one of the original members of the Tooting Revolutionary Front. I thought you did brilliantly. Well done. It's a cool idea. Zombies are easy to sell. You picked a good genre. I think you included everything we needed to hear. Number of episodes, what you need for the future. So I think you did that brilliantly. Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't got much to add really. I thought it was fantastic, and I am a South Londoner, so living in Brixton for the last 40 years or so. But so I really like the fact that you said at the beginning that obviously you're not British, but you have lived here for 10 years. You understand British humour, and I think that you've absolutely displayed that in what you just said, and that whole North-South London divide I think is brilliant, and so zombies work. So I'm in.
North London. So, great pitch, really liked it. I think it's also like you can tell from the audience, everybody was laughing and just like really living for. I think I'm also at advantage of actually seeing your falling out, which was great. Yeah, great. I actually don't have any comments, so well done.
I don't really like zombie films. I like Walking the Dead, I suppose. The Waking Dead, sorry. But I love this idea. And I love Stuff Sells Flat. I think it's brilliant. And I love your comments to everything. And I love the characters like Fatima. And I mean, I can see those characters already. I think it's really good. But I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's also something, if it was 6 steps, you could also do it as an online thing. There's also that. You could do that, because I know I did a series for somebody that released something online. Have you thought about that?
It's very early stages. Like we literally stopped like post-production like a month ago, and I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way. I'm trying to talk to people.
Are you doing TV or film? What? Because you've got 6 episodes.
Yes, it's 6 episodes for
So
TV.
it's TV.
Yeah. It could be a film. It's a film.
It could easily be a film.
It could easily be a film, but I'm just here to learn and like to see what's out there and talk to people to like get professionals to help me out to see what the hell I'm going to do.
Yeah, but I think you're going to write it all, yeah?
I wrote it.
Yeah, but for somebody who's not from here but understands that north-south divide, it's going to be really good. Because you know, when I was a kid, the cab drivers wouldn't even go to South London. North London was the place to be, and it was.
I've been in the cab in South London, and they still won't take me to South
Oh, there you go. You've got to come to North London. So I love it. I think it's such a great story, and yeah, I think it's really good, and I think you did it really well. You were really calm, you were funny, and well done. That's exciting.
Muy bien. I just want to say that's a really great example. Like, if you are pitching a comedy, it is important that the humour comes across, okay, in the pitch. And there was a really lovely way that you presented that. You didn't overdo it, and you did make us laugh. And we were totally inside the story and in the characters. It was a great pitch. Well done. So I've got nothing else to add that hasn't been said.
I just wanted to add one thing that this is really we have this thing at Film London called Upstream, and it is for really new ideas that are being pitched to TV and indie film producers and writers and directors. So at some point you should look that up, because maybe not right now. It's called Upstream. Upstream, yeah. So it's something that could be considered for that.
Very much a BBC Three thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You could definitely go BBC Three.
Thank you.
And protect your IP.
Yes.
Get a lawyer.
Lawyer up. And make sure they're from North London. Thank you so much, Alex. That was helpful. Brilliant. Maybe the next person.
Not sure I can follow that one. That was